Welcome back to One Piece Anime Re-Review Part 27B. This one I'm covering episodes 426 to 437. For episodes 426 to 429, this is the Little East Blue arc. Now, originally when I was bench watching this series 3 years ago, I actually skipped over this arc. Mainly because it was a filler story in the middle of Impel Down and I didn't want to interrupt the flow. This time I decided to watch it purely based on the fact that, well, for one thing, it's just a few episodes, and two, even though yes, it does have a movie that I'm not planning on watching at the moment right now, but unlike before, where I was basically just rushing through as quickly as possible because the series is still on the air. Now I'm taking my time with this thing. So, Little East Blue is pretty much an arc that it's a filler arc. One way to tell a filler arc is the fact that, well, for one thing, Luffy's back with the Straw Hats. Now, where you can place this? Well, definitely before the Sabo Archipelago arc. That's distinctly possible. You could place it before that particular arc. Mainly because the fact that Hachin is not on the ship at this point. Neither is Cammy or Papagu. Yeah, they're not there. Now, Brook looked like he's been in the crew for probably a while at this point. So, that's just my theory. Now, the thing with this particular arc is, this is noteworthy being the first of 4 filler arcs in the entire anime, that the purpose of these arcs is to set up a movie. Yeah, this arc set up the 4th most recent movie released. Next time they have a filler arc for this movie would actually not be until season 15, which actually, believe this filler arc came after Fishman Island. And here's the thing. Next time they would actually have a filler story in the middle of a canon story would actually not be until actually just recently when they did the Carbon King arc last year. Well, for one thing, it's celebrated the 20th anniversary of the anime, which also had the adaptation of the Romance Not One Shot. But that 2-parter led into One Piece Stampede, which is really good. Is Strong World really good? That's basically what this 4-parter leads into. Yes, the story for this one is this. Basically, the Straw Hats just happen to come across, basically. Now, there's this little girl who wears a navy coat and hat. It turns out to belong to her late father who was killed by pirates. What pirate crew killed her father? They don't say. What East Blue is, it's an island made of people who are from East Blue. And apparently these people are big Straw Hat fans. Because there's a reputation of Luffy's village there, the Baratier, though it's actually on land, not in the middle of the ocean. Basically a stand-in for Zoro's dojo that Zoro was part of when he was younger. Though the obvious question is where the heck Zoro originally is from. Actually, aside from the fact he's from the East Blue, like prior to the show up in the dojo, when he challenged the master, of course he was battled to his daughter. Here's the thing. Zoro's backstory prior to that has never been explored in the series. Now, as for Usopp, they asked, is everyone from Surf Village here? He says, yes. This is where we live in a big mansion, she's around. And it turns out that when he gets there, it's nope, it's not a relative of Kaya. It's just some old lady who was jealous of Kaya and really wanted a mansion like her, so she built sort of a duplicate, but it's just for show. And oh yeah, and also there's a Nami fan club. And apparently this people only want to see people from the East Blue. Just basically the original Fab Five. Why the original Fab Five? Well, because all from the East Blue. Despite the fact that Sanji's from the North Blue. And here's the thing, of all the Straw Hats currently, I believe that Brook is from the West Blue, I believe. Both him and Rob both West Blue. In the case of Frankie, I believe he's from the South Blue. Chopper is from the Grand Line itself because he's from Jum Island. Yeah. And by the way, the Air Force Straw Hats, who are not the original Fab Five, do not do anything as long as they just stay on the ship. They just play cards. They want to capture the bug. First make member of the crew. Turns out, nope, not joining the crew. Luffy wants to fight it. And we actually have people who really want to join Shiki, the Golden Lion. Now, here's the strange thing about this character. This character is canon to the One Piece he's part of the One Piece canon, but the movie is complete anime original and not canon to the main series. Now, this is the only time I've ever seen this happen, where a villain from the movies is canon. Only one out of all the One Piece movies. By the way, despite how long One Piece has been on the air, they have not put out that many of my movies. I think they put out maybe about 15 or 16. If you want to think of a series about the most of my movies, it's Case Closed. Yep. They have put out the most of my movies. This year was supposed to be released, the 24th movie, but the movie's been delayed because of the pandemic. So, and this pirate crew known as the Amigo Pirates, who are basically Mexican-based pirates. Yeah, these people are big fans of Mexico, like the captain. Oh yeah, he's a Marache. Don't wake him up from that. Basically, he's taking a big cat nap. His vice captain, who's his brother, wears a luchador mask, and their pirate ship is a submarine. This is probably the show's precursor to seeing Law's submarine. Now, in canon, Law is the only. Now, in the main manga, Law is the only who actually has submarine as his pirate ship. In terms of the anime, they're one of two. The other, of course, being this crew. And the captain ate the net fruit. Basically, he can shoot nets. Create nets out of a lot of stuff. Like, okay. And his brother can make guns of his body. Okay. And then after... And by the way, these guys show up at the end of episode 2 of this arc. At the island. But they're there just to get the beetle because Shiki really wants it back. After defeated, by the way, these pirates are never seen again. I don't think they're even mentioned in the movie at all, which kind of makes the point of what's the point of setting up this arc? Just to set up the movie. But it does lead into the movie itself with the seeing there's more beetles. Despite the fact he lost one, I was like, losing one is fine. I got more. And that's that. That's Little East Blue for you. Also, they do have a fight between Luffy and the boss. That's why they call him principally boss. And Luffy battles him for a while, like, even after they save their lives. And Brook was like, okay, like, let's fight now. And then they fight, and then Gross Choppers at the translate says, by the way, I won. He's like, no, you didn't. About to fight, and says, time to go. He's like, oh man, I was going to fight him again. Yeah. And don't expect to see these people ever again because it's an original, so don't expect to see a filler character ever again in the series. I've never heard of it ever in the series where a character from well, technically that's not true because they did bring back one filler character in the anime. They brought back Jonathan from the G8 arc. Yeah, he pops up for a quick cameo when all the admirals show up at Marineford. Now, over the course of these episodes, these picked up exactly where episode 425 left off, where Luffy is going through the prison. Now, he's already run to Buggy. He's run to Mr. 3. Basically, on level 1, he runs to Buggy. He gets to level 2, he runs to Mr. 3. And then they move. Now, basically, level 1 is like Crimson Hell. Now, in the case of level 2, it's the floor of the Wild Beast, which Luffy and Buggy beat the crap out of. Also, Buggy at one point was carrying an axe at his back, and then while he was in the 3rd floor, he got rid of the axe, switched up guns for some reason. Also, level 2, they're the ones that run into Mr. 2, aka Bon Clay. And they're just like, let's not let him out, and then all of a sudden, sort of a jump cut, like, oh, let's just let him out, because he's going to go rescue Straw Hat. Okay, fine. And of course, Mr. 3 joins forces with Buggy. This alliance, believe it or not, is still in existence this very day. Even after this arc concluded, they're still allies. Basically, Mr. 3 becomes kind of part of Buggy's crew, and stays there. He never does anything else besides that. So, by the way, level 3 is basically a desert hell. And it's hot. But it's much more hotter on the 4th floor. Now, Warden Magellan is down there with the Mistress. By the way, Bo Hancock basically has met with... Now, we do see Crocodiles here. Yeah, Crocodile's in this prison. He doesn't do anything. He just seems to smile, but no one knows it's him is because of his hook. This is the first time Crocodile's been seen since Alabasta. Excuse me, don't worry, Luffy will meet up with him later. So, basically, Hancock basically gets a chance to talk to Ace. Jinbei, we see him, and he tells Minotaurus, hit me. And he whacks with his freaking club. The club looks almost, is it just me, or is his club look almost exactly like Alvida's club? By the way, Alvida basically still co-captain with the alliance between her and Buggy. So his crew really want to go rescue him, and she's like, "Okay, you want to go rescue him? Fine, I'm gonna take the ship." It's like, no, it's like, okay, fine. They kind of go, but don't worry, they don't really do very much. But Buggy does reunite with his crew. How Buggy got to the prison is so stupid. Like, okay, he's looking for Captain John's treasure. He goes to one place. Turns out it's actually a mine. After going to various places, group of islands, he, just by sheer coincidence, came across an island that has a marine base. And that's how he's arrested. That's how he ends up impelled down. Mr. 3, Mr. 2 are cast because of what happened in Alabasta. And, of course, Luffy does reunite with Ball and Clay. He's very happy to see him because they're basically friends. They've been friends since the Alabasta arc. So they eventually get to the place where they get to the fourth floor, where it's hotter than the third floor. Like, the third floor is like a desert. The fourth floor is like a freaking oven. Basically, everywhere you walk around the place, it is basically like being in a 1,000,000 degrees oven. It is that hot of a place. Of course, they do come across Minotaurus. Luffy does beat up, though, does tracing Buggy and Mr. 3 around. They'll eventually run into the Vice Warden when they get arrested. They actually get captured pretty easily. Now, Magellan does get down to the fourth floor, though he's there basically via a chair, which also doubles as a toilet. He's like, what? The thing doubles as a toilet? Okay. When he tries to open the curtains, like, I like my privacy, please. He likes the darkness, and then he does have a little peephole, so he can still talk to people, despite the fact he's using the bathroom. They're like, ooh, stinks. And like he basically hears all about the Vice Warden Hannibal's complaints, and then he thinks about complaining in his head, and then he does this little breathing thing on him, and he's like, I didn't complain that time, but you're thinking about it. Okay. And by the way, the Mistress Sadie, like, oh my god, this woman is so smoking hot. How in the world does Magellan not start sleeping with this damn woman? This woman's just smoking hot. Hannibal, I wouldn't be surprised if he started sleeping with her, but Magellan does form a relationship with one of the interrogators. I'm not going to say who it is until after the end of this arc. Also, when they get down there, it's after both Hancock left. Hancock is like, how long for Ace gets executed? He's executed in 29 hours. He gets moved over to Marineford the next morning. Okay. And then Luffy pretty much... They also reveal that Fourth Fleet, like all the desert stuff, is actually remains of a bunch of dead prisoners. Like hundreds of prisoners who apparently die here. This is the floor of starvation. And on the fourth floor, Luffy does meet with Magellan. He doesn't know how big the guy is because Magellan is freaking huge. The guy is basically about, I'd say, 15 feet tall. Luffy tries to fight him, but he's a poison man. Though Bon Clay tries to help out, then he just runs away scared. Luffy ends up fighting him until he gets covered in a bunch of poison. Bon Clay ends up beating up Hannibal, though he disappears. And he ends up basically putting on his clothes. And he basically, first he's trying to find a cure for... He's like, well, I'll interrogate these two myself. Though nobody points out, though, that Hannibal's got like little hair, even though he didn't have hair before. So it's like, okay, let's just interrogate these people in a private room. And basically, this Vice Warden turns to be Bon Clay because they thought he disappeared off someplace. But nope. Bon Clay is the Vice Warden, which that's actually pretty reasonable. So apparently he gets his hands on prisoners on floor 5, and he comes across his hero, Ivaco. Who this guy is, well, how should I put this? They say he is a queen of queers. I'll discuss him in part 27C, because that's where he's going to show up. Because I stopped here because the episode kind of leads into his debut. You kind of see him, but you don't see. His name is Ivanko, but I'm not going to talk more about his appearance until I get to his. Who the heck this guy is based on. I will get to that. So, oh yeah, King of Miracles, save the whole country. So, let's take him to him. So, they take him down. They go down to the fifth floor, which is cold. It is colder than a freaking icebox. It must be negative almost like 50 degrees, 50, 60 degrees, because they mentioned, oh yeah, characters from Frostbite. Also, apparently, the Vice Warden, whenever he comes down here, he apparently comes down here without a freaking coat on. Like, why the heck would he not bring a coat down? I get maybe the prisoners, but why him? Completely unknown. And when they get down there, they are immediately almost nearly frozen. Of course, Bon Clay gets attacked by a bunch of wolves. They'll eventually get some keys, and episode 437 ends with him letting out helping out Luffy. And that's that. Great setup. Now, Lily's Blue, interesting to say the least. It's not all that important to the series, this particular arc. It's not that bigly excited. The Amigo Pirates are probably the most bland pirates of the whole series. I like their motif. The Mexican thing is fine, but their Devil powers are so lame. A net power? Really? And you're a pirate. Why did he be a freaking bounty hunter, for crying out loud? Why a pirate? And these guys want to be the captain. Want to be the 51st captain in Shiki's crew. And apparently, the captain going to sleep is like being him in a meat mariachi. I'm like, what? Also, apparently, he drinks a lot too, which that's kind of weird. Yeah. Also, the only characters doing fighting in Lily's Blue are just Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro. That's it. Yeah. Zoro ends up fighting the vice captain. I think it's not Zoro. It's actually, I think it's Sanji fighting the vice captain. The captain, of course, basically gets the crap beat out of him by Luffy. And the ship is destroyed, and they're never seen again. The Impel episodes are getting interesting, to say the least, and I can't wait to discuss the let-up portion of these episodes before I get to the remaining episodes of this arc, which details the escape. Okay, so yeah, that's it for single review. Now, in case you're wondering why I stopped at 437, because, well, I still want to do my review for the newest episode of ReZero today. That's still going to happen. I'll probably end up finishing up these set episodes, I'd say, I don't know if today, maybe tomorrow at best. If I do finish up today, great. I could finish up probably after I finish up my reviews for this series, for this video, and probably ReZero as well. But I'll watch ReZero next, okay? Next video. Bye.